In part 1 of our ANA Roundtable discussion, featuring David Bowers, Dave Sundman, and Ken Goldman, the three numismatic legends compared the ANA shows of yesteryear to those of today, and recalled some of the most interesting coin stories of their storied careers. In part 2, they share their views of what they would like to see in the coin market of the future. More education for collectors seems to be the common thread. We're sure you'll appreciate their insights.
Can you tell us, as far as the market, what would you like to see in the coin market in the next coming years?
I'd probably like to see more education, and of course I'm a book writer and I'm affiliated with Whitman who sells books, but in my opinion, if you have a coin is item A, okay? If you have a book, well, let's say a coin is 1 point. You have a book by itself, that's 2 points. If you add a book and a coin together, instead of getting 1 plus 2, you get 2, you get like 4 or 5. So to sustain interest in coins, once you buy it, if you learn about it, you like it. I collect music boxes, okay, which has been a hobby for many years. Ken Goldman does too. And if you say, well, does the music box have better fidelity than the latest Sony tape recorder or latest Sony CD? I'd say, well, no. Well, why do you collect it? They're historic. Well, why do I collect coins? A 1793 large cent is very historical, and if someone comes and says, I want one of those because it's a trophy coin, here's a check for $10,000, that's good. But if they read about it and they find out how the dies were cut and why there might be a misspelling or why an abbreviation, it becomes very interesting and they love it more. So I think that the more people can read and learn about coins through books or any other method, I'd like to see more people do that. They will stay longer in the hobby if the more they know.
I think you bring up a good point as far as getting people interested in the hobby. I know one of the things that really got a lot of people, I think millions of collectors started in the hobby recently, was the state quarter program. And David, I know that you guys were selling the state quarters to a lot of your customers. Can you tell us how many quarters you guys sold approximately to your customers, and how, if you guys were involved, was that something that you guys were involved with?
It's probably one of the biggest sensations, I think, to hit the coin market, and lots of people don't really understand how important it's been in terms of creating new collectors, but also bringing back older collectors. We've sold millions of sets of 50 state quarters, and often I'll get letters and calls from people who say, I gave up on coin collecting, but I really like the state quarters, and that brought me back. And now I've brought back my kids or my grandchildren or whatever. And I think it's going to roll out over time. But I think the new series, even if it's not as popular as the original state quarter series, the National Park series will really be a real plus for coin collecting, but also for educating kids and older kids like me that are maybe newcomers to the hobby.
Okay. Now, Kenneth, over the years, you've gotten to see the market as far as the things that have occurred. What would you like to see in the next coming years in the market?
Well, I think some of the things that David said earlier are really interesting. They go back to what a very old dealer told me years ago. He said, if you take a coin by itself, you're just talking about a Washington quarter, or if you take an antique music box, or an antique, or it's a painting. But what makes all these things interesting to the general public is not the object itself, but it's all the packaging around it. It's all the information, all the history, and let's face it, a quarter is just a quarter. It's something you have in your pocket. But now when we brought out state quarters, and we've brought out all the publications that are coming out, all the coins and a lot of the collectibles, and especially with the advent of the internet today, there's so much packaging and so much information that anyone can find out. I think once all this gets out there, it'll add quite a bit to the hobby of collecting coins, antiques, and let's face it, coins are another type of antique. So I think that's really added a new dimension that we didn't have 20 years ago with the advent of the internet, the digital photography, and we can now look at a coin at 12 midnight on a computer screen. It's as good as we'll see it in person. And in some cases, you'll have a coin blown up 10 times. So that's added a new dimension into the collectible hobby that we didn't have before.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a great discussion. Thank you all for your time.
Well, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.